Imagine opening your eyes to flashing police lights. Your hands are covered in blood. Someone is dead. Every piece of evidence points to you. But no matter how hard you search your memory, there's nothing. No memory of an argument, no memory of a struggle, no memory of taking a life, just darkness. It sounds impossible. But for two men, this wasn't fiction. It was their defense. I'm Detective Cipher from the Classified Mind, and today we're investigating the most disturbing case of all. The human mind itself. Let's open the first case file. Case File A. Kenneth Parks wasn't a hardened criminal. He was 23 years old, married, recently unemployed, and by every account he had a close relationship with his in-laws, though he was under enormous stress and planned to confess serious financial wrongdoing to them the very next day. Then, during the early morning hours of May 24, 1987, everything changed. Kenneth drove nearly 12.5 miles, 20 kilometers, to his in-laws' home. He let himself inside with a spare key and attacked them both. One survived, one didn't. Minutes later, Kenneth walked into a police station covered in blood and calmly told officers,
"I think I have killed some people. My hands."
For investigators, the case looked straightforward, until Kenneth made one unbelievable claim. He said he had been asleep the entire time. Evidence marker number 1, the impossible crime. At first, detectives dismissed the story. Sleepwalkers wander through hallways, maybe make a sandwich. They don't drive cars, commit murder, or turn themselves in. But sleep specialists knew something investigators didn't. During an extremely rare disorder known as non-REM parasomnia, or disorder of arousal, the brain doesn't always wake up all at once. Some regions remain deeply asleep. Others become active enough to perform familiar automatic behaviors. Walking, opening doors, driving routes the brain has memorized over years. Suddenly, Kenneth's story wasn't impossible. It was biologically plausible. But plausibility isn't proof. Investigators still needed evidence. Evidence marker number 2. The brain on trial. Medical experts examined Kenneth for signs of chronic parasomnia. They reviewed his lifelong history of sleepwalking, interviewed family members, studied his behavior before and after the attack. Then they looked at the science. Modern neuroscience shows that during rare parasomnia episodes, the prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for judgment and conscious decision-making, can remain largely offline. Meanwhile, the motor regions continue carrying out learned routines. The body keeps moving, even when conscious awareness never fully arrives. Kenneth hadn't fled. He hadn't tried to hide evidence. He'd driven straight to the police station. Still injured, still confused, still insisting he didn't know what had happened. The jury believed the neurological evidence supported his claim. Kenneth Parks walked free. For many people, it remains one of the most controversial verdicts in criminal history. But our investigation isn't over, because another man would make the very same claim and receive a very different verdict. Before we open the second case file, I want your verdict. If you had been sitting on that jury, would you have found Kenneth Parks guilty or not guilty? Leave your answer in the comments below, and let's see if your decision survives our next investigation. Case File B. Our second case file begins almost the same way. A husband, a wife, a violent death in the middle of the night, and one shocking explanation. I was asleep. Scott Falatair admitted he had killed his wife, but he insisted he had no memory of doing it. Like Kenneth Parks, he claimed he had been sleepwalking. At first, the two cases appeared almost identical, but investigators noticed something Kenneth Parks' case didn't have. The evidence kept changing after the attack. Evidence marker number 3. The evidence didn't match. According to investigators, Scott didn't simply attack his wife. He hid the knife, concealed bloody clothing, then returned to bed. Those actions raised a critical question. Could a sleeping brain really cover up a crime? Modern neuroscience says a sleepwalking brain can perform automatic familiar behaviors. Walking, opening doors, following well-rehearsed routines. But hiding evidence requires something very different. Planning, adaptation, and understanding that your actions have consequences. Those are functions normally controlled by the prefrontal cortex, the very region that should still be asleep during a genuine disorder of arousal. For investigators, that difference mattered a lot. Evidence marker number 4. The final piece of evidence. This is why sleepwalking defenses aren't accepted or rejected based on the claim alone. Forensic sleep specialists build a neurological profile. They examine medical history, previous sleepwalking episodes, witness statements, sleep studies, brainwave recordings. Then they compare that evidence to the suspect's behavior. In Kenneth Park's case, the neurological evidence supported his story. In Scott Falliter's case, the behavioral evidence pointed investigators in a different direction. The jury found him guilty of first-degree murder. 2 men, 2 nearly identical defenses, 2 completely different verdicts. Not because the science changed, because the evidence did. Tonight's investigation wasn't really about Kenneth Parks or Scott Falliter. It was about a question that science is still trying to answer. Can the human brain commit an act so complex, so violent, that the conscious mind never experiences it? Modern neuroscience has shown that under extremely rare circumstances, parts of the brain can wake while others remain asleep. The body can move, react, even defend itself. But proving that happened on the night of a murder requires far more than a story. It requires evidence. That's why one man walked free, while another spent the rest of his life behind bars. Not because investigators believe one explanation over the other, but because one explanation fit the evidence. And in every investigation, evidence is the only thing that matters. These files are closed. Until next time, keep your eyes on the evidence and your mind on the motive. Detective Cipher, signing off.